All right. We are live. Ivan Osorio already connected. Shared a story on Instagram. Uh, it was a John Odom story, Instagram story. Share it. He sees it. We had conversation in the past. We were messaging back and forth, and obviously John is a busy man, so you know, and I guess he got some free time for me today, and he said, "I'm free tomorrow." I was like, "Let's do it." So everybody, you guys, there's no planning here. I don't plan anything. My father is always kicking my ass because I don't plan shit. Uh, I play it by ear. All right, there's no script. So without further ado, we got Joan Autumn in the house. John, you are live on
What's up, guys?
YouTube.
How's everybody doing?
All right. So, now people are starting to get on. So,
Cool.
they pretty sure they heard a little. They were actually listening to a little conversation where we got connected because the mic was hot. So who cares?
Okay.
What? This is what I like about this way. I like it better this way because when you script things, sometimes they look fake,
Yeah.
and I'm not good at reading or planning, like I said before. So you know what? For me, and you, and this is a conversation. You're a car guy. I consider myself a car guy. I'm a car nut.
Yeah.
Life has changed for me, so I can't exercise playing with cars like I used to and throwing money away because the car game it's a money game. That's the way I
Yeah.
see it. I see all my friends spending tons of money. I throw so much money away, and when I look back, I was like, shit, I could have done this. I could have done that. I could have bought five more trucks for me and my father's business. We have dump trucks, make more money. I don't know, whatever. It is what it is. But when you think about it, also, you love it, you enjoy it. At that time, you don't give a hell. You don't give a hoot that you
Got
spending
a
all
lot of
this.
sponsors, that's for sure.
Well, you know what? God bless you for having sponsors, man. I don't know what that is. So I tell everybody, welcome to the TRL Race Car Talk podcast, sponsored by you, the viewers.
Awesome.
You know what I'm saying? And me in my pocket. That's about
Absolutely.
it.
You.
Thankfully we or me, I have a lot of supporters. A lot of people support me all the time when I do live streams, when I post videos,
Yeah.
and I'm glad for that, and it keeps me going. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
This is the hobby that followed race cars. Now, John, enough about my shit. This is about you, John Autumn, the man of the year, because like I was telling you before when I first started talking to you, I never heard about you, bro, honestly.
Yeah.
And I know about Street Outlaws. I haven't watched Street Outlaws since Big Chief, if you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I don't know. They changed stuff around. I stopped watching it. I don't even watch TV anymore.
Yeah.
I watch YouTube. I watch a movie here and there, but I don't watch TV anymore. I don't even have TV in my house. I don't have cable.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a waste of money. What am I going to watch? The news? I don't watch the news. You can't even watch the
Yeah.
news nowadays. Anyways, so last year you won TX2K 22.
Yep.
Honestly, I just found out today. You know what I'm saying? I swear to God. Because I started watching your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I watch your recap of World Cup finals.
Yeah.
I watch your recap of TX2K22, and I was there. If you go on my channel, you're gonna see the whole event live every day, complete, uncut. I don't
Except
cut
when I
anything.
won the 68 millimeter
Oh,
class.
stop it! Of course he's there. I swear, bro. This is crazy. I'm watching you. I was like, what the? John Autumn won TX2K22. Where was I? Oh well, I was live streaming. I was running like a madman, trying to keep my
Cry in the
viewer,
bathroom. That's cool.
trying to keep my viewers happy. I know. I know Brad. I see his car all over the place. Anyways, whatever. Enough of that shit. Let's start, John, with whoever's watching right now that does not does not know you, um, just
Okay.
give me a little rundown or on who's John Odom. You know what I'm saying? Preferably name, date of birth, social security number, No, I'm kidding, bro.
Perfect.
Oh, all right, who's John Odom, bro? Because
So, I love racing, right? Growing up, cars, loved cars. I remember when I was, I don't know, 10 years old, stealing my parents' car. My dad got this old station wagon. Somebody gave it to him. And so I'd save my lunch money during the week for fuel, right? And then on Fridays, we'd get off the bus at 3 or whatever. And I'm 10, 11, 12 years old. And they didn't get home till 5. I would take that. We had a gas station like a mile from my house. I took this old panel wagon, whatever, down there, got some fuel in it, and I'd go out and just drive the gravel roads behind my house. You know what I mean? Learn to drift, and that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
drift.
But I just love cars, and I and I just everywhere I went, I was racing, and and there was a passion and a fire there, and and as I got older, and then the businesses grew. I bought a couple cars and bought an X6M, and we put some turbos on it, made it a really fast pass, and ended up blowing that car up. And then I bought a GTR, the '09, which I won with last year at Texas 2K22, and got a tune on it. I didn't even know what a Cobb tune was back then. Like I was, when I tell you, a lot of my haters will get on there, and they're from my hometown, right? And so they knew I didn't know nothing I don't know shit about cars, To this day, they hold it against me. It's built, not bought, or it's bought, not built, and just,
Whatever.
listen, haters made me famous, right? And I say
There you
that
go.
because the haters definitely made me famous. I went from nothing to being on TV, and I'm very grateful for it every day. Everybody says I'm a cocky asshole, but if you knew me in person, you'd know I was pretty humble and pretty kind about it. But so we got that car, and then I loved Nissan GTRs, bro. I loved them. So we started track racing, Laguna Seca, Sonoma, Willow Springs. Started teaching my son how to drive, and I loved the track race. It was just something about being out there for 20 minutes on a track, going as fast as that car will go around corners and straightaways. And then I started getting into, modifying cars, and then, going to Texas 2K and seeing all those GTRs run. And, Brad's like, hey, I think we can make this GTR you got fast. So we put some turbos, 58 millimeters on it, and went out there and ran it. And I don't know how many wheels we spit out of those precision 58 millimeter turbos, but I gave it everything it's got, and Rob Harper was my tuner, and we made some really good passes. And then, of course I wanted to go faster. So we put some 68s on it, and then we put 68s on it, and I ended up meeting the middle, if you remember that race. It was a
Yep. Yep.
while back.
I
I won
remember.
that race, and then I won Texas 2K, and then, things kind of started taking off for me. And Mac Bronson, who I think you've interviewed him.
Matt Bronson.
He
Yeah, of
was
course.
he was running No Prep Kings, or he was running Street Outlaws Cash Days, I think, in Las Vegas. He invited me out. I go out there, and JJ the boss is running the show and kind of pushing Mac around and talking shit about his piece of shit Nissan and da 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 da. So we started betting some money, and we started throwing some money in there, and they took us serious. You know what I mean? And Mac made a really good showing. I think he ended up losing that race, but kind of met with the producer, and they seemed to kind of like me. And I didn't hear anything, for like a year. And then last year, or the year before, last year or the year before, they were actually racing in Boise, Idaho, my hometown. And there's a track called Firebird here. My phone rings, and it was them, and they're like, "Hey, Mr. Odom, don't you live in Boise?" I said, "Yeah." They're like, "Hey, we'd love you to bring your car out." And I'm like, "Okay, it happens to be ready," but I'm like, "Man, I'm gonna get killed, right? This is a 7-second quarter-mile prep car running 3-second eighth mile no prep cars." And they said, "Just come out." And so I went out there, and I thought I was king shit, bro. I thought I was I'm on cloud nine, right? That the TV show asked me to come out. I think I'm the coolest cat in the building, and we go out there, and they take me down this room, and they do some green shots with me, and he's like, "I want to introduce you to somebody." So we go down, and we go down past all the Street Outlaw drivers, and I'm my mouse on the ground. I'm looking around like Daddy Dave and Jeff Lutz and Ryan Martin, you know what I mean? And they take me all the way down the end in like the shithole grass area. And he introduces me to Jim.
Jim Howe.
And he said, hey, Jim Howe runs for Team Detroit. And Jim this weekend has nobody running with him. You're going to run with him. And of course, Jim's excited. He shakes my hand and he's like, hey, man, nice to meet you. He goes, what do you got? I'm like, oh, I have a Nissan GTR. And the look on Jim,
Like,
he
what?
looked disgusted, dude. And he's like, how fast is that thing? I'm like, dude, it's a 7-second quarter-mile car. And he just puts his head down.
Oh, shit.
Oh, jeez. At that moment, I knew, right? Well, we raced the weekend together. Of course, I got beat every round, right? But we raced the weekend, and we got to be friends just over that little span of time. And I had a blast, right? Jeff Lutz was one of the coolest guys on the planet. Comes up and asks me if he wants to race with me, right? And so you can imagine me, right? Jeff Lutz. This is the guy that I used to, come home with my son and get Buffalo Wild Wings and watch on TV, right? He's talking to me like, holy shit, right?
He was with you at TX2K22.
Yes, last year when
he was hanging out with you in the
pits. We got to be friends fairly quickly, but he's like, hey man, you want a grudge race? I need somebody to race, He beat me by like 10 hours.
Well,
right?
he used you for practice.
Yeah, it wasn't practice. It was a warm body in the other lane. Right? And so we got to be friends. Well, then that Sunday I get a call from Discovery, and they're like, hey, we'd like you to finish the year with us. And I'm
wow.
like, oh, okay. So, at the time I talked to my family and they thought it was a good idea. So we pack up and my staff drives around and we do the other like 5 or 6 races of the year. And of course I get smoked. Now, when I fell in love with the sport.
One second. You're doing this with the same car you used at TX2K22?
Yes. Okay. So that year, a year and a half ago, the 09 GTR, the 7-second quarter-mile car, we did the last half of TX2K 2022, right? Or 21.
22. You won 22. 68 millimeter 22.
Well, then it would have been, yeah. Okay. So we do the last half of that race. Idaho, Denver, whatever the other ones were, right?
Yeah.
So by now, at the end of this, I'm hooked, right? And me and Jim Howe have become friends. And Jim's like, listen, if this is something you want to do, I'm getting a car built by David Monday. And David Monday is one of the best car builders in the world. I swear to God, him and Jim and a couple other people are the reason that I looked so amazing last year. But I mean, so David Monday was building Jim a car, and he's like, you know what? I have the Warden, but I'll give you my spot. And we were talking about it, and I decided to do it. So we talk about it, and he's like, well, what car do you want to build? And I'm like, well, I want to build a Nissan GTR. And Jim is like, fuck that.
Oh, shit.
So we take a GTR to the shop. They start tearing it apart. And I swear there wasn't a day for the 3. We built that car in 3 months.
Now that's the same. That's the same GTR, the same body. You use that same body.
We got to use GTR.
You started with that. Oh, okay. You got another one. Okay.
Yeah, we bought another one.
Okay. All right.
They don't make aftermarket hoods, and it's got to be real. I know everybody gives me a hard time about that GTR, but we drove the GTR there, tore it apart, put it back on there, right? It's real steel roof and quarters, lights, bumper, doors. Well, there wasn't a day that went by that Jim and David Monday was building that car that I didn't get my ass chewed at least once a day.
Of course.
Right? You're used to building no prep cars or old Camaros and everything. You just call up and get whatever, right? Well, all this was hand built. So they built this car in like 3 months, which was a feat all unto itself. And I still tell you how amazing David Monday was. But he's just the best in the business. I'm telling you right now. I know a lot of people say Larry Jeffers and some of those guys are, but I really think David Monday is epic. And so there's not a lot of no prep drivers, right? There's a lot of drivers, but you kind of got the same dudes in no prep, right? You got a few of them, but how many people take a car on no prep and run 3 seconds down the 8th mile, right? It's not everybody that can do it. So, I'm talking to Jim, and, Jim watched me, and you're a GTR guy, so, a second 7 GTR is like driving a bucking Bronco. I remember Jeff Lutz watched me drive that my first pass, and he's like, what is wrong with that car? What's wrong with that car? And I'm like, it's not supposed to be drag racing, dude. Yeah, there you go. Right? It's not supposed to be doing what we're doing to it.
Nope, nope. It's built.
And
It's built
so there
for
was a
the.
lot of nights.
Listen, the
Yeah, there was.
GTR, the GTR is built for the road course. If what you started doing with it, you know what I'm saying, and I don't know whose idea it was,
Yeah,
but it became a drag car, and it
yeah,
became a really good drag car. You know, the
it did.
all-wheel drive system. You know,
Yeah,
at first, when it first came out, you would void the warranty because it had launch control. It came out with launch control. I think it's got to be one of the first cars that actually came out with launch control.
yeah.
And it was fast as fuck. So when people started launching, then they started voiding warranties. So Nissan figures it out and is like, damn, everybody's doing this shit. You know,
Yeah.
we gotta allow people to launch it. So they actually did the launch control from the factory because in the beginning, it wasn't a factory. People figured it out how to
Oh,
launch
really?
it. Yeah, no.
Okay.
The '09 GTR, they figured out how to launch it, okay, with the settings or turning off the traction control,
Yeah.
and it will launch, but it will void the warranty. If you took it to the dealership, they would find out once they hook up the computer to it that you were launching the shit out of it, and the transmission sucked, so
Yeah.
you would break it. So Nissan figured that out, and they actually implemented the launch control, and they actually named it of one of the features. Here's the launch control. To engage it, you do this, flip the switch, that
Yeah.
switch, and you can launch it. And they have safeties on it. You can only launch it like 3 times with a certain amount of time, and then you need to cool it off, drive it
Yeah.
for whatever. So it became a drag car.
Yeah.
Freaking a 2012, which is the DBA, the DBA model, was a 10.9 car out of the box.
Yeah.
10.9.
And back then, that was
And
fast.
that's it. And back then, shit, I got a 10-second car. Holy shit. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and that's it, man. After that, it's all downhill. It's
Yeah.
everything else. Full bolt on. What is a full bolt on? Freaking,
E85. Yeah.
E85 injectors, pumps, intercooler, turbo actuators, and you
Yeah.
can,
Turbo pipes, 4 inch. Yep.
all down pipes all the way open, all the way to the back for,
I got two of them that are full bolt on. I
I love
know.
I love that car. I beat the
Yeah.
shit out of my full bolt-on GTR. You
And,
know what I'm
they
saying?
run good every day, every time, and
You
they're
know,
perfect. I mean,
but
especially when Rob Harper's tuning them. They run
well,
like
listen, Rob is really good. One of the best
he's
out
really
there.
good.
One of the best. So, and then after that, you get hooked, and you want more and more, and
Yeah.
that's you get to where you are. So
Yeah.
we've all done it. We all thrown the money away. We all broken the transmission. I was lucky enough not to break an engine, but I did break my transmission a couple times.
Yeah.
Because that's the weak link of the car.
Yeah. It
But
is. It is.
so all right. So you got a new UTR now. Let's not get ahead of ourselves for a second. For example, inspirations. Who's your inspiration for this sport? You know, you got
Well,
anybody,
see,
anybody you look up to that
well, you got to understand, right? I love drag racing, but I didn't know much about, radial drag racing or 275 or small tire or big tire. We just, we were track racers and I watched Street Outlaws. And so, to me, it was Daddy Dave in that pickup, right? It was Jeff Lutz in that car. It was Ryan Martin. Even Ryan wasn't that cool back then, right? It was Jeff Lutz. It was Daddy Dave. It was Chuck Sightsinger, right? Chuck was always out there
Yeah,
beating people up and talking shit.
You know,
You know what I
I,
mean?
I love Chuck because he tries so hard and he could never win. You know what I'm saying? He was but he was a fighter.
Yeah.
He
But he's got
was
the
there.
passion and he's got
He's
the heart, right?
exactly.
But and then it was farm truck in the list.
Oh
And
my
he was
God,
off the top 10, right?
those guys.
But I just love Daddy Dave and Jeff Lutz and Daddy Dave could drive anything, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what he got into, that dude. That he's epic, right? And he still is to this day. He's epic. And so for me, it was Street Outlaws. So when Fate made that happen, it wasn't like I started racing and went to Pro Mod or I went to 275 or I went to Radial or whatever that shit is, right? I mean, I went right into the sport that I watched, that I idolized, that was like, holy crap. And I'll never
Wow.
forget that day, right?
That
Yeah.
that's insane. That's insane. That for example, for us over here, my our group, it's Fast and the Furious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how that's how it started. That's how I fell in love with the GTR, and it's funny that you were in road racing, and then you start watching Street Outlaws, and that's where you end. That's amazing. That's like
Great.
a
And
that's like a dream
I
come
didn't,
true.
yeah, we went from racing quarter mile, 7-second GTRs because we love GTRs, and that's all we hang out with. Brad Jepson, right? Builds all my cars. That's all they do is GTRs. We went from that to Street Outlaws. And so, getting back to what I was saying, there was a lot of sleepless nights laying in bed thinking, gosh, we put this program together. I got the best car builder. I got the best motor guy and partner and tuner and Jim Howe, right? And can I drive this car? Like, literally.
Which
There's
takes
so
me.
many. There's one thing to drive a second 7/4 mile GTR, right? But
Mhm.
it's a whole different thing to let a button go on a 208 mile an hour pass on an eighth mile at 3.69 seconds, right? And there's not a lot of people in the world that can do it. Now, there's a million keyboard warriors out there, all you sons of bitches that like to bullshit and talk shit and tell me everything I did wrong. But I always like to ask you, what 6 second or what 3 second car do you drive, right? There's a million people that do it. So I promise you, never one time when I watched those guys on Street Outlaws did I comment on their page and tell what a dumbass and everything they did wrong. Because even Giddy, right? How much I respect Giddy for having really the fastest GTR in the world, right? We all know Giddy has the fastest GTR in the world. He even commented to me after Texas 2K just a few days ago in one of my comment posts. He said, you know what? I don't know if I could do what John does. Everybody gives him shit, but I stood behind that car and watched him let that button go. And that thing went 219 miles an hour. You know what I mean? He's like, it's a whole different ball game than running a what do they run? 6 second, eighth mile, quarter miles, right?
I think the
You're
fastest.
running a
I think the
3 second, eighth
quickest.
mile.
What is
Yeah.
it? Quickest right now is 6.5.
Yeah.
Uh, and
Yeah.
Giddy did it right off the trailer, which is, oh my god. I
Dude,
mean, they have such a great program. This is insane.
I
That
mean,
car.
him and Robert both did 6.5, I think. I think Rob Harper at the time had the fastest GTR
Yeah.
pass, right? And
Yep.
then Giddy beat it by just a tiny bit. But
Yep.
like, but even Giddy, with as epic as he is, and epic of a driver as he is, he even stopped. He took a step back and expressed like, listen, what they do is pretty epic, right? To be able to get in that car and run it and pay attention and keep it on the track. And I don't know how many times I've been sideways going through the finish line at no prep at 211 miles an hour, right? It's everybody told me because I was a road racer, I could never drive a no prep car. And I promise you, being a road racer was the best training that I ever had to be a no prep driver.
Really? Wow.
Do
I never heard. I
I
never
mean,
heard that before.
buddy, I'm at Laguna Seca dropping 3 feet at 198 miles an hour and
I've
coming into a
seen.
turn, right?
I see that drop.
So,
Yeah.
I have 1,000 horsepower GTR, and that thing will do 189 miles on that back stretch. You know what I mean? So I'm used to going fast. I'm used to going sideways. I'm used to controlling the car. Well, all those things happens very quickly in a no prep car, right? This is not John Force. We're not hooked up. We're not glued down, right? I know it's not a road course car, but I can show you a million videos where I got sideways or almost into the wall, or it's crazy, right?
Shit.
And I believe,
I saw you DX2K. You freaking wheels up on that 5 second pass. Half the track was wheels up.
yeah. So I feel like in the no prep side, and even the GTR, you got it or you don't, right? Because there's a lot of people that get in GTRs and then get right back out. There's a lot of people that get in demons and get right back out, or whatever it is. So God blessed me with that particular skill, and I listen. Last year it was my first year, right? I made some mistakes. I did some red lighting. I had a trans button issue that I got confused, and my life's not just racing, right? These guys. most of these guys on no prep, they drive to the next track or they practice. And, I fly home on Friday or Saturday night or Sunday and work all week at the company. And then I go back on Friday, right? And so I had a lot going on in my life last year, had a lot of things happen. And so I had a lot on my mind. And I made a few mistakes, but I clawed my way out. I figured it out. You know, Nobody in the history of the show has went on the very first year, went to 5 finals, won 5 finals, and finished sixth ever. I mean, there's a lot of people on that show that's never been above 10th place. You know what I mean? So to
Yeah.
be where I was in my first year, I can attribute it to my car builder, David Monday. I attribute it to Jim Howe, my partner, who built the motor, who tunes that car, the staff I had around me, my staff, and there's a little bit of my driving. Do I feel like I can improve? 1,000,000%. There was a bunch of times I red lit and I felt horrible, and nobody gives you as much pressure as you give yourself, right?
Of
But
course.
I feel like, I was rookie of the year last year, and I went to 5 finals and won one. I beat Ryan Martin in the last final in Ennis, right? Like, I beat Kai Kelly and I beat Jeff Lutz. And, I remember crying when I beat Kai Kelly, right? Because he was my idol, right? You're watching Kai Kelly.
Guy
He's the
Kelly.
fastest dude in the planet, right? He beat everybody on the street. You know, Chief couldn't beat him. Sean couldn't beat him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Kai Kelly. I used to watch when I used to watch.
yeah,
I used to watch Kai Kelly. I was like, wow, what the heck? This guy, you can't beat this guy. What the
he's
hell's going on?
that good, right? And so I'll never forget him walking up to me, and I was crying, right? And he was just, I could tell he was going to say something, but he's like, you know what, John? He's like, that's pretty cool. I got to give it to you. You beat me straight up. You know what I mean? And so when you're idle and the people that you looked up to and the people that you thought are the best drivers in the world say those things, like when I ran Ryan Martin at Bowling Green, Kentucky, and he beat me by just not very much in the finals, right? And I'll never forget. He's like, they got something with you. Those people better pay attention. You're the real deal. And so for a guy like Ryan Martin to say those things to a new driver, like, it's pretty humbling, bro. It's a whole different level, and yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty humbling. It really it's and to have Jim Howe believe in me like he did, and it's really humbling. I know, people give me a lot of shit and they talk shit, but at the end of the day, I'm 100% grateful to be given the opportunity that I have. And you're talking about Sam with Street Outlaws and those guys that believed in me, that put me on TV, and now I've got, tens of thousands of fans and so many supporters and so many people. And just walking through Texas 2K, and kids walk up and they're like, "Man, I
Oh
just
my
love
God.
watching you." And it's like, that's just, it's so humbling. It really is.
Let me step back with you a little bit. Before, so you did TX2K this year, last year. You've been doing Street Outlaws. Now, before TX2K last year, 22. Did you do any other drag racing events?
I won meet in the middle that summer.
Mean in the middle.
Yeah, and
And
then me and Doug
where
World
was
Cup.
that? Where was that event? You remember?
Ooh,
I don't.
many.
I think my guys
I
did
can
that
see.
one
I
too.
can see. I know the Four Seasons I stayed at there, but I can't remember. There was a casino in it.
What?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Uh,
What else
there was a
before that?
baseball team because we went and watched the baseball team play.
Did
But
did you do? Did you ever do a GTR World Cup?
no, I've been there. I never raced there. I went and watched. But and then we've done World Cup. We've done the World
Yeah, but you did World Cup finals last year on the
year
blue
before
on
and
the
the year
pro
before
mod.
that. I've been
But
3 times.
oh wait.
Three times.
With the
I
'09
think the
GTR.
58 millimeter, 68 millimeter,
Ah,
and then my blue car. Yes.
that's
So I've
where
been there three
that's
times. And,
okay.
what do you say about Jason Miller? That guy is epic, just like Peter Block, right? Those guys
Forget it.
put on the best programs. They have the best races. They're the most professional.
Yeah.
Like, just to be asked to go to those races is an honor to start with. You know what I mean?
100%. No, that I haven't been to World Cup finals in so long. When I got my first GTR, I went there with my football ton GTR,
Oh, yeah.
and I was the bump spot. You know how I was the bump spot in a
Yeah.
street class at 10-2 with my football ton GTR. The guy on top of me was a Honda Civic at 9.2.
and smoked your head.
Insane. I had the launch because those GTRs, they freaking fly
Yeah.
off the line. But then the freaking Honda will be like,
Yeah.
whoa, Monica. That's it.
Yeah.
Gone.
Absolutely.
So that was nice. Now,
Yeah.
let me see. Personal best. Personal best on your '09 GTR and on this GTR.
7.2 at 201.
72201 on that's the
68
'09.
millimeter,
That's
the
the
'09.
68.
And
72201.
I'm not going to tell you on this car because
All right.
that's secret.
All
Let's
right.
just say
Okay.
it's under 370.
All right. That's good. That's good enough for me.
Under 370. But you
Damn.
got that
That's
at this level, it's pretty, those times, we're pretty good. We're pretty
now. Well,
niche.
now that you say that, you're not gonna tell me. All right. And then I got a follow up question. What about going to World Cup finals where everybody can see your times? Does that matter? Does that make any
Yeah, we
difference?
ran the quarter mile clocks. If you notice, we never ran 8th mile clocks.
Of course, but
Yeah.
I mean, people got clocks. You know what I'm
I
saying? Does
mean,
that
yeah,
does
but
that
it's
worry
just,
you, or it really doesn't?
yeah,
You don't think
it's,
it affects you?
listen, and I'll just tell you this: the top 5 or 10 guys at no prep are running 370s, right? And
Sure.
there's a difference between the top 4 or 5 or 6, 7 guys, and then the next class. They're running, 380, 390. You can see it, you can watch it, right?
Of course.
And
Of
as
course.
I didn't know anything when I got started. Right now, I can. Now I'm to the point where I can see a pass and I can tell you pretty close how fast it is, right? Because that's my job. That's what I get paid for. That's what I pay attention to. It's becoming, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the top 5 or 6 guys, 7 guys, which include me, they're pretty fast cars. And, yeah.
Now, going from your 68 millimeter car to this beast. Ah, tell me about your first time you drove this thing. And I
There's
mean,
a video of my
obviously,
very first. Yeah,
yo, there is
there's a
where
video.
in your channel.
I'll send you the video of my very first.
Okay.
I let the button go. I probably went 100 foot. I got right out of it.
Oh wait.
Yeah,
I can
I
only
got right
imagine.
out of it. But I knew, like, the first time I let the button go, I knew if I could do it or not. And all I wanted to do was, the second I let it go, just put me back in. Let's go again, right? So I knew I had it, right? And so I was ready to go again. And so, yeah. So
So
I'll send you, when
so
we get done here, I'll send you the video of my first pass. You'll laugh, but
oh, I have no. I gotta see.
yeah,
I can only imagine. I mean, I'm sure it's like okay, damn. Okay, hold on.
yeah.
All right,
It's
let's
nothing
do
like
that again.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And it's funny because, after about the 4th race, 5th race, I'd come back to the trailer and I'd be like, Jim, this car's getting slow. You got to fix it. Something's wrong with it. And he's like,
What?
calm down.
Seriously?
You're getting used to the car. You're
Yes.
getting used. So now it's like we're going for a walk when I let the button go, right? But it
That's
wasn't the first couple times, Now it's a
that's
normal thing you know, we pull the 3.5 G's, at takeoff, and it'll drop, right under 3 going out the back door. So I mean, the Apollo rocket left the universe at 3 G's. So it's a little more than that when we take off. So it's an epic. It's a wear and tear on your body. It really is.
that is insane. I like. Can you tell me a little bit about the setup on that car?
Yeah. So Liberty, we run a 5-speed Liberty transmission. We run. I have a BAE 10 screw blower. We got a tie dive tranny or tri dive hooked there. We've got. This year we changed. We're running 34.5s instead of 36s. So that's, if you notice, we did a couple passes at TX2K and just blew the tires off, right?
Yeah.
Part of it
Yeah.
was the weather. Part of it was, we really don't run on prep. But, we went from 36s. So we had to change to 36 to 34.5. So that means we had to change the gearing in the tranny, gearing in the rear end. So we were trying different things. We had to actually turn down our blowers from 98 to 92. We actually added some weight. We ended up getting the rules halfway through Texas 2K for no prep. And Jim made a few changes. I didn't, but I was probably 60, 70 pounds heavy for rules this year. And so, I mean, the car is really state of the art, right? We run Haltech. Haltech runs all our stuff, and Jim's one of the most epic blower tuners in the country. I mean, you can prove that by watching what we did last year, right? At the end of the year, Jim's car and my car was hauling ass, and so, yeah, I mean, it's a great car, and it's my baby, right? Like,
Okay, no, 100%.
yeah, it's my yeah, but
Now, follow-up question to that, to the setup. Okay, now when you're racing, I mean, are you always going all full power, or obviously you have to play with? I mean, no prep. It's got to be a lot of tuning on no prep,
the
right?
tuner's game and no prep because
It's a
every
tuning.
track is different. The temperature changes is different. The next day could be different. I mean, it could get some rain. So 100% definitely, it's a tuner's game, right? Ryan's the best driver in the country. He's the best out there. He practices the most, and he's got one of the best tuners in the country. And that comes out. Right? You see it in the end result. So
Now,
it's a tuner's.
no prep, no prep, no prep, or really, really, really no prep.
So they go scrape the track when we get there and drag it and call it good. That's it. So when we're racing, they don't bring out, they clean up the oil and that's it. They don't drag it again. None of that. None of that. So
Okay.
yeah,
Now
it's
what?
no prep. Now,
Now,
once the
okay,
cars run for 2 days, there's some rubber on the track. Don't get me wrong.
of course,
But
of course.
when we start out, no.
Now, so I guess the preference is, as the event goes on, it'll get better for it. Does it
Yep,
get
and
better?
we can
It'll get better.
you can start turning up the cars as the traction gets better.
Okay. Now, what about, let's get technical, reliability on this car?
Welcome to having a sponsor. Or
Yay!
welcome to having. I think I have
Buddy,
four
buddy, buddy.
sponsors now. So, it's a lot of money, and it is, But there's the great thing for me is, I feel people love me. I got a great personality. I'm a pretty good driver. I've made an impact in this sport in a lot of ways, from the car that I brought in to my character, to how I am, to my personality, to how I do my media. I mean, we do a lot for this sport, and this sport does a lot for me. And in return, we've got a lot of great sponsors and people that really want to be involved in this with me. And it's been epic. Like, the people that have reached out, these aren't just people that are some mom and pop things. These are these are huge global corporations. So these people have reached out and said, hey, we want to be part of what you're doing. We love how you are. We love the passion. We love how you act and how we're all get a little crazy and say stupid shit sometimes. But at the end of the day, my heart is in it. I'm passionate about it and I love it. And it shows through on camera. And that's what they want to be a part of. And they want to be a part of the fans. They want to be a part of the people. Because let me tell you something. I've been around a lot of racing, not as much as a lot of these guys, or like I said, the small tire, the X70, but our fans are loyal, they're kind, they're amazing people, and they are some of the best people. Like, if I'm not racing, or I get out, or I lose, or even if I don't lose, I'm in the fans spending time with those people because they're like my home people, right? I want to spend time with those people. They're amazing people. We have the best fans, we really do, and no pressure.
You know, John. This is what I learned. When I got into this world, of racing, going to the track, going to events, racing your own car. Listen, even street racing, and I'm not afraid of saying that's street race. Like
Yeah.
like hell, I don't give a shit. I don't know, man. Race car owners, or car people, man, they're the greatest. You
They
know what I'm
really are.
saying? They're the
Yeah.
greatest. I mean, listen, you're always going to have trolls.
Yeah.
I mean, in street racing, there's a certain personality you need to have. It's like boxing, like when Muhammad Ali would freaking get on people's face and get in their head and
Yeah.
beat him before he actually got into the rim, and sometimes that plays
It
a
happens.
role
I
in
mean, look
street
at me and
racing.
Robin Roberts last year, right? We got into it. I kind of burned him at the light a little bit, and I did it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're racing for $40,000. I'm your friend, but sometimes when we both go to work and when we hit that light, we're both going to work. And sometimes I got to get you, and sometimes they got to get me. And so, but there's real emotion and there's real feelings and there's real anger sometimes.
Of course, I agree 100%. But I mean, I say, I say, as long as it doesn't get personal, as long as it doesn't get personal or family or anything like that,
Yeah.
whatever.
No. Yeah.
You
No.
can tell me whatever you want. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah.
I can take
Yeah.
it. I'm gonna
But
tell you
five
whatever I
minutes
want.
later, when you're done racing and your car blew up and you needed something, they'd be the first one there handing you a part.
I I see that all the time,
They're the first
all the
one.
time.
Like, me and Manny Bajinga, when he first, I don't know if you know Manny, right?
Yes,
He's an epic
absolutely.
racer.
Yes.
I kind of motherfucked him a little bit because I heard he was talking shit about me. And instead of seeing it exactly, I just kind of took somebody's word for it. So I was kind of motherfucking him, right? And I said, because, you get a little cocky sometimes and say some shit. So my car broke, right? And I needed a part. Well, up he comes with a part. And he hands me the part and he looks at me and he said, just remember who you motherfucked and who stood here when you needed the part, right? And it just kind of changed my thought process a little bit. Like, wait a minute, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So even if you do motherfuck them, they're
Uh,
still there to help you.
one
So
100%.
it's an amazing family, I promise you.
I see it. I see it all the time. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
It's
Me and Disco Dean have a little beef right now, but I'm sure if something happened and he was parked next to me and he has a blower car, I'd be giving him a piece of my, you know what I mean? Like, you got some beef or whatever it issues, or you get your feelings hurt, you think somebody said something bad or whatever, you'd still bend over backwards to help them. You know what I mean? So it's a really good family.
now. Since you went to World Cup finals, are you? I mean, are you allowed to take the car any event you want?
Yes.
Let's say, like, what event was in Bradenton, a couple of World Series of Pro
Yeah.
Mod, for example. You know what I'm
I can
saying?
run that car wherever I want to.
All right.
They're a little, you know, I think that everybody keeps their times pretty heavy, but Justin Swanson ran Pro Mod. You know what I mean? It's hard for us to run Pro Mod a little bit, not hard, but we can't hit the weight those guys are, right? We're 2850, 2800 because they're roof and quarter panels and those Pro Mods are a couple hundred pounds lighter. Well, that's a big deal. I mean, that's
Yeah.
those guys are running bottom 60s, right? And
Yeah.
we're running bottom 80s. So, it's hard to be competitive, but I can take the car and run anywhere I want to run. That's correct.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Um, somebody that has your number that you haven't been able to beat.
Justin Swanstrom,
All right, tell me about that.
great friend. Uh, just my kryptonite, right? We joke a lot, we laugh, we have a fun time, and the one time I could have beat him, I red lit. You just have a guy, right? Like I thought it would be, Ryan Martin. I thought it would be Jeff Lutz. I thought it would be Daddy Dave. I thought, I'd beat but I would be Justin Swanstrom. But it's coming. I mean, I got another year, and I know he's building a new car, and I know how new cars are because I had one for a year. So I feel like we got a leg up this year, and there's a lot of rule changes. So we've been testing and testing and testing and testing the rule changes. So we feel like. Well, what we anticipated the rules to change, and is actually better than we thought. And so now that we can take some weight off, we feel like we're going to do really well. And so, last year I missed a race, started the second race, and I finished sixth. And Jim missed 5 races and finished seventh. And Jim missed 4 or 5 races and finished sixth. Right. So we don't want to be behind the 8 ball at all. This year with the sponsors, we're testing. We want to come out and make a splash, right? We don't want to be behind the 8 ball this year. And, the rules are pretty fair with everybody across the board. And,
Now, when you say rules, okay, when you say rules, what type of rules do they implement on those type of events?
so, weight for the cars, what power adder you're running has to be a certain weight. What transmission you're running you have to add or take away, like I ran a 5-speed Liberty, I got to add 25 pounds, right? So it just depends. And so they try to keep it, what turbo size you're running compared to, the motor size, the weight, they all kind of try to keep it square. But last year we ran 36 tire, we ran 98 over. So the car was set up for that. This year we had 34.5 tire. We're only 92 over on the blower. So, that changes the rear end, that changes the trannies. So, we were figuring that stuff out. But we Discovery has given me this opportunity, and I'm not squandering it all. I plan to test, show up, and be the best. And that may be arrogant for the company I'm keeping, but yes, I mean I did make it to seventh last year, my first year, and I feel like I've put a lot of sweat, blood, and tears in this too. And so
Of
I
course.
want to be the best at whatever I do. And I think that was one thing that the TV show saw when they brought me on was I have just as much passion as anyone else.
That's amazing. Um, what is your favorite place? Favorite place or event to race?
Love Bowling Green, Kentucky, because I almost beat Ryan there, and I love Denver. That track, if you've ever been to Denver, it's epic.
Never
I
been to
love
Denver.
Denver. Of course, I love my home track, Firebird, but when I raced at a lot of tracks last year I'd never raced at, so they were new for me, and so I fell in love with all of them. But yeah, I raced Kayla in Tucson right at the final. She beat me in the finals at Tucson. But for me, a day on the track is a really good day. There's only one thing that tops that is the day with my kids, right? I'm a single dad, and so I get my kids every other week, and so that's my favorite thing in the whole world. And my second favorite thing is probably racing. So, but yeah,
Now, listen, you have you have had such a crazy opportunity. Wow, I'm thinking about it. Just a year ago, you were going to TX2K or World Cup finals with your 68 millimeter GTR running 7 seconds, and you get a call from TV show. All right,
yeah,
that's gotta be an amazing and a
it
TV
is.
show that you are a fan of, that you watch
Yeah,
with your
yeah,
kids. That you,
yeah.
oh my God, I
We
mean,
watched every episode of 405 for every season. It was the same thing. Buffalo Wild Wings on Monday night, and then watch Daddy Dave. Watch him drive the shit out of that truck. And I used to tell my son, Daddy Dave is the best driver ever, right? And now I'm racing the guy.
you're
It's
right.
epic, right? It's
How
crazy. It's
how
crazy.
talk about a dream come true. I'm
Oh,
telling you.
Daddy Dave did kind of put me in my place, though. He was debuting his car at SEMA this year, and that Audi is epic. His new car coming out it's a thing of beauty.
What is it? Like, listen.
It's
No, hold on.
yeah,
I am out of it. I haven't seen an episode of Street Outlaws in years. Okay,
yeah,
like I said, since
yeah,
since 405 was done. You know what I'm saying?
exactly. So
So completely
Yeah,
lost.
Daddy Dave built a new Audi A5.
An Audi A5.
It is unbelievable.
Oh
Like,
man.
so we're standing at SEMA, and there's 100 people taking photos, and I'm standing at Jeff Lutz and me and Daddy Dave, and I'm just being my little cocky self, and everybody's talking about it, and I made the offhand comment. I'm like, yeah, well, I guess we still wish we got to see if he can drive it. Never forget this.
Oh shit.
Daddy Dave turns to me and looks at me in front of hundreds of people, and he said, John, I would have won the championship this year in your car.
Oh man.
So
Oh
that
man.
definitely put me in my place, and I,
Damn.
I realized at that moment
Damn.
that I will never be Daddy Dave.
Wow. That's
Yeah, so
epic, man.
that was a cool moment for me, but it was kind of just because he's really that good, right? He really
Yeah.
is. I
Yeah.
believe. I mean, my car was a championship car. Just the driver was the problem this year. It was the first year, right? And so, for Daddy Dave saying that was 100% true, and it definitely put me in my place a little bit.
I mean, I don't care. The way the story you've told me, your accomplishment. I don't know what to say, man. It's amazing, and going from the 7 second GTR to that. Oh, what is that? Is that a real GTR? Too
And
soon?
you know what's
Too
funny
soon?
is when I first started posting that, every person, every comment, hundreds, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of comments was I was an idiot. It's not a real GTR. And just the other day, somebody made a comment about it, and somebody else made a comment about it, and half the comments were "Shut up! It is a real GTR." So, yeah, so the access of the planet is changing on whether I have a real GTR. Now, if you ask George Dodworth, the king of criers, like that dude he's the most purest guy on the whole planet about GTRs, and he
Yeah.
would cry about everything compared to a GTR, right? But he's got half of his car is a pro mod. That ain't a real GTR. I don't care if you got a real motor in it. Shut up. You know what I mean? Giddy has the fastest GTR in the world as far as it being all the tranny, rear end, motor. What else do you want? You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, there's people that, they're like, well, it's got a van and he drove the car there. And so, I think I'm starting to win it over some of the purists, maybe.
Listen, there's always going to be a purist. I mean,
Yep.
listen, in my opinion, whatever. You know what it is? It has a GTR body. Well, I mean, what? It doesn't have a GR6 transmission. It doesn't have a VR38. I mean, for me, that disqualifies us. Okay, this is
Yep.
my personal opinion. I mean, if we are talking official records, then I mean, for me, is at least a VR38 engine.
Yeah.
You know, anything else? Listen, unfortunately, the GR6 is the weak point on that car, and how much lower can you
I
go?
mean, look at Mac Bronson. He just said, you know what? I'm done. Same with me.
No,
I'm done spending 50 grand on a tranny. I'm done.
exactly.
And World Cup finals, we went through 4 1 year. That's $200,000. I'm out. I'm
No,
out.
no,
I'm
no,
out.
no,
No, you
no.
got to you got to race smarter, not harder. And
Exactly.
but for the purists that think Mac's car is not a real GTR, I get it. You know
You
what I
know,
mean? But
I look at the Supras, for example. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
All right, I still haven't seen a Supra with a big block on it. You know what I'm saying? And there is no Supra with an original transmission. Okay, so that's why I think, okay, at
the
least
motor.
the engine. Okay,
Yeah,
okay, at least the engine. You know, and maybe if you don't have to cut up the whole damn chassis, all right, whatever. Sometimes you got to make modifications to whatever. But at least I say at least the engine. That's my personal opinion.
yeah, and
I
that's
mean,
great.
listen,
And that's what I love about this debate because everybody has their opinion. And you know what?
yes,
Not one person is right over the next person. It's what your personal feelings and what your beliefs are. And
absolutely.
that's where
I-
it creates the draw. It creates the drama, right?
Of course, listen, it creates it keeps the conversation going.
Yeah,
I mean, what is more fun than sitting at home at night watching GTR's back talk, man?
yeah. It's the
It's a
best, right?
blast.
It's the best.
It's a freaking blast.
Yeah,
I can't talk much because I'm not in the game anymore, but I used to, so I know a little bit about it.
yeah,
And obviously, you can't tell me stories because I've seen it all. All right,
yeah,
so, but yeah, it's fun, man. Like I said, man, as long as it doesn't get personal, it's all fun for me.
yep, yep.
It's all fun. So whatever. Um, I don't know, man. I
We
don't
got
know.
any comments, really? We got any questions or
Oh,
comments?
I had somebody ask John about the no-fly zone half-mile side-by-side passes. What is that? Do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah, so I was at the no-fly zone, we were doing side-by-side passes, and my front, well, the car, we used to go to the Omega half miles there in California, and those were so fun, right? Well, one year I took the GTR, which wasn't a smart idea. The front drive light came up through the car one day because we go a little too
Oh,
fast.
oh my God. Holy
Yeah, so that was a little
shit.
crazy. Yeah.
Let me.
But yeah, those are fun to do those half mile events, right? They're real
I,
fun.
I did a half-mile event in my. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I did a half-mile event one time. They did one here. The guys that do the roll racing.
Yeah.
They're roll racing here. Slipstream. Oh, it used to be Slipstream. Now they're race motive. Where is it? Oh, I'll ask this question now. So they rented an airport, and I did that for the
Yeah,
first
same
time.
thing.
That
Yeah.
was fun.
Oh, the guy that put
I
that on
loved it.
Tony, he's amazing. It was
You
a
know,
great experience. We went twice, so it was really, really cool.
standing half-mile on my car that time. I did 197. My ETS was gone. I
Yeah.
was spinning all over the place.
Yeah.
I told my tuner, Ivy, he's a local guy here, and I told him, listen, man, this thing is gone, all right? So there's nothing else we can do. I'm just going to send it. And I sent it until the car said, hey, man, you got no more front wheel drive. You're done.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I put it away. And I went 197. And there still hasn't been anybody that been able to top my speed with my setup,
That's awesome.
with my tool.
Congratulations.
So that was good.
Yeah.
That was cool as hell. That was amazing. That was an amazing. But listen, I've been 200 miles an hour 50,000 times on the street.
Oh, yeah.
When you're roll racing on the street,
My Ferrari will go 100 miles an hour, 200 miles an hour going down the street.
you know what I'm saying? So, when you're roll racing, hey, man, you're not letting go. I ain't letting go. Fuck,
Yeah.
let's go until whoever lets go.
Yeah.
So, now, hey, so what's your take on roll racing? Is that
I
real?
stand when I pee.
What is it?
I stand when I pee.
Oh man, here we go. I heard that before, and I don't know, for some reason
listen.
I was expecting you to say that.
Let's just move on from that. Like,
All right. You don't want to start anything? You sure you don't want to start anything?
let's stop. Let's just move on. I got enough haters online right now. We don't need to. I don't need half the Texas 2K roll racing people.
I had to. Come on, John. I had to ask you. Come on, man.
Listen, I don't care what you say. I watched that run in Billy's car that Terrence made. Listen,
Tell me
Terrence
about
is a
that.
no joke fucking driver. That dude is the shit. And I like Terrence, and I don't really like roll racing, but I watched the times on that car, and that dude, I've been very impressed. So up until that pass, I will make fun of roll
I mean,
racing. But yeah.
you got it's impressive. You
Yeah,
gotta
listen,
give
Terrence Cox can drive. I don't care who you are.
you
That dude-
gotta give the roll race. I mean, at that level, you know what I'm saying?
At that, geez, bro.
At that level, you gotta give him credit. And and it was a really good idea. I think it was a great idea for Peter to shorten that track 250 feet. He made all the difference.
Dude, I asked Terrence, and I can't remember what he told me, what he thought he would have trapped if that track was 250 feet longer. I went to find him and ask him that, and I don't remember exactly what he told me, but it was fast.
Listen,
Like they were on a path to do something epic, and I get it. At that speed, I understand why Peter shortened the track. Right?
listen. I mean, you were there last year, and I mean, I don't know if you were there for the road races, and the wrecks were one after the other. It was the cars.
No offense. Now, this is where I think road racers are a bunch of fucking morons, right?
All right.
You drive a Lamborghini that does 100 and whatever miles an hour, right? You pull a chute in a crosswind. Like, who's telling these drivers what to do, right? Even my car, like I ran it through the eighth. I ran it through the quarter, right? 211 miles an hour, ran it down there a ways. Buddy, never pull your chute in a crosswind, especially in a car that weighs 2,800 pounds. Like, no wonder they went into the wall. That's where most of the wrecks happen. You know it. Like, the problem, here's my problem with roll racing. You got these dudes that go to work and go to their office, they spend $200,000 on a car, build it, and they drive it one time fast in their whole life. Right?
Okay.
That's the problem I have with roll racing.
Okay.
You don't know when to pull your chute. You don't know what a crosswind was. You don't want to tunnel it. You don't know what you're doing at 238 miles an hour. No.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you my experience. Okay, with exactly what you said right there. Yeah, there is a lot of road races that got a little bit too much money. They see the videos, and they want to do it. I want to do that. I can do that. I got the money. All right, let's go. Hey, on the ground, here's 200, 300, 100, whatever it costs. I have no idea how much an on the ground car costs. And let's go 200 miles an hour. And you're 100% right. Now, I don't know, and I figured that it has to do with treating your customer with respect or not.
But you know how many times Jim has said, fuck no, you're not doing that, right? There's a difference between your customer, Jim's my teammate, he builds the car, and your fucking life. So no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the difference. And that's
Ex-
why I don't, that's my problem with roll racers. If you want to
exactly.
spend as much time out practicing, Hudson, oh, my, I got somebody at the house. Hold on.
No,
My
no,
son is 14 or 15 years old doing 200 miles an hour on a track in a setting where I taught him, you know what I mean?
no,
Hudson spent more, my son at 14 spent more time at 200 miles an hour than these guys that got millions of dollars building these roll race cars.
exactly. So that I know exactly what you mean, and I've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in it. Oh, it's in it. Yeah.
Don't worry. I've gotten like 50,000 phone calls. I've muted them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I've seen the arguments. I've seen the tuners and the builders. Like, listen, you got to do this. Oh no, I'm okay. I know. I can handle it. Listen, you know.
That's my problem with roll racing, bro.
And and sometimes the tuner just said, all right, fuck it, man. You're the boss. You're paying the bills.
You're a grown ass man. You figure it out.
Exactly.
But
You're
I will
gonna.
tell you, there's a few drivers that I super respect. Mac Brunson, for one, I've watched him do things in a GTR that I don't think I could do, and Terrence Cox for two.
That guy has
Unbelievable.
some.
So there's two drivers right there that I madly respect, and definitely take my hat off to.
I mean, we can't forget Giddy because I've been watching Giddy.
And that just goes without saying.
Exactly.
I mean,
I always like to mention Giddy because I've been watching Giddy since the GTR
I watched
started.
stuff in GTR like Mac that I don't think I can do, bro. And I'm a pretty decent driver.
First to the 10 when AMS was, well, AMS is on top. AMS is already established, builder, tuner, part, whatever, just like ETS and T1 and all those big companies.
Yeah.
And Boost Logic I used to watch
Boosted Performance, the guy that drives that.
Oh, Boosting,
Evo,
yes.
That dude can drive too.
Oh, hell yeah. What? Devin?
Evo,
Devin?
like,
bro, Devin is crazy. I mean,
I could never drive that car. Bro.
Stick shift. We're talking about a stick shift car. What about Granis?
Jeez. When I'm talking about these drivers, I'm not taking it away from some of the greats because he's a great too, right?
Of course.
We're talking about GTR, sorry.
Absolutely, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
I couldn't do that.
But yeah, I am anyway trying, finishing with roll racing. I believe I believe there's a lot of owner mistakes when big accidents happen like that, and I say it's inexperience, and I say sometimes
inexperience.
And I say sometimes the tuner builder is not educating them enough to, but I don't know. That's just my opinion, and I think we agree on that.
Yeah, we do.
Anyway, John, I think it's getting late for you. I don't want to hold you.
It's been, I appreciate you. I gotta go. I've got a meeting at 8, or 9, which is my time. But
exactly. Hey, I listen. Much. I appreciate you. You're helping me. You're fucking. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I really appreciate it. I mean,
I want to thank you for spending the time, letting me on here. Believing in me and believing in the program and wanting me to be on your show. And then, I'm the one that's grateful for this. Thank you so much.
No, listen, it's a collaboration. I like I see it, and I appreciate it, and hopefully we can do it again, man. We can keep in touch.
Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. See you on the track.
Thank you, brother. Have a good night. All right, John's got to go. I know. I'm pretty sure he's a busy man, so I couldn't hold him for much longer. So, whoo, that was cool. That was cool, man. This was nice. This was nice. I really appreciate him. So a little, and you guys heard a lot of our talk before I put him on the screen, and it's funny because I messaged John a few weeks back. I messaged John a few weeks back, and I asked him, "Hey, John, would you like to come on my channel, so I can interview you? We can talk a little bit." He said, "Yeah, sure, right away, man, right away." He said, "Yeah," but obviously, hey Claymore, what's up, buddy? Hey, listen, the good thing about disclaimer is that you can rewind it and watch it again because I'm going to leave it up for a little bit. Um, he right away he said, "Yeah, man, sure, let's go, let's do it." And I'm sure he got busy because it's ain't, he's a businessman, and I know a little bit about busy. So fucking hey, amazing. I met his son at TX2K, and yesterday, last night, I share a story on my Instagram. Boom, he messaged me right away. Hey, I'm free tomorrow. I was like, what? What the hell did this come from? Crazy. I was like, shit, let's do it. All right. So here we are, man. Wow, that was amazing, amazing story. You know, I don't know. Listen, the internet warriors. We are all internet warriors. So we all talk smack on the internet or whatnot and whatever. At the end of the day, what matters is the person. So John looks like a great person. So like I said, honestly, before today I had never spoken to John, ever. So this is the first time I have a conversation with him, and and it was a pleasure. So I appreciate you guys for being here, everybody on the live stream. I hope you enjoyed our little conversation, and that's it for me. It's 10 p.m. right now for those of you in the East Coast. So that's it. I think I'm going to cut this down and say oh well, before I let you all go, remember, subscribe, like, and share. If you like this and you want your friends to watch it, please share. It'd be great if you share this stream. Thank you, everybody, and I'm gonna say good night, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.